This video was edited by AJ Analysis. He's got quite a few Manchester United based videos on his channel. I'll leave that linked in the description below for you to check out after this video. So just behind Boris Johnson's business meetings during lockdown, I think Manchester United's need for a central midfielder is a worst kept secret in all of the UK at the moment. But in today's video, I'm going to be suggesting 4 realistic, creative central midfield options for United to bring in to create their perfect gegenpressing side, with one of these players reminding me a lot of Steven Gerrard, and another resembling Marco Verratti. And one of the players I'm going to be suggesting has an absolutely phenomenal FBref report, probably one of the best I've seen from a central midfielder this season. But before I break everything down, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfever.com. I myself got the Manchester United 2003-2004 jersey from Ronaldo's first season with his name and number on the back, and I got that from Jersey FIFA, and it's definitely my favourite jersey out of my whole collection. So if you want a jersey like this, click the link in the description and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL at checkout with a space to get 5% off. Okay, so this will be the second or third episode in this series. The other episodes will be linked in the description below, and you may want to watch the first episode for some context about this whole series. But normally what I do at this point in the video is break down why Manchester United would need a player in this certain position, criticising the current players in that area. But to be honest with you, there's 2 words over the past 2 years that have started to give me PTSD. The first is a word that I can't mention because I do want to get monetized on YouTube, and the second is McFred. Now if you're a Manchester United fan or you watch Manchester United regularly, I don't really have to go into why Manchester United drastically need an upgrade in the central midfield area. I did go over it in the first video, so if you do have a fetish for torture, go over there and watch my description of why Fred and McTominay need to be upgraded. But in short, United need better progressive passes from the centre of midfield, a player who is press resistant and can play out of pressurised situations, defend in one-on-one situations in the centre of midfield, break up attacks, play long and incisive passes to progress the ball forward, and so basically every attribute you could possibly want from a central midfielder, United need an upgrade in. Now as United need 2 players, I'm going to do a separate episode on a ball-winning central midfielder that United need, but let's now get into my creative central midfield options for Manchester United. Now my dream player for this position would be Joshua Kimmich at Bayern Munich. I did say earlier on that a player on this list had the best FBref report of a central midfielder that I've seen all season, but to be fair now, looking at Kimmich's, this does look absolutely unbelievable, but I don't think he's a realistic option for Manchester United this summer, but maybe in the future if he is available, because his contract does expire in 2025. I think he's a player that pretty much every club in the world should be trying to sign in central midfield. But my first realistic option is going to be Fabian Ruiz. He's currently at Napoli, he's 25 years old, and will have 1 year left on his contract come the summer, so I reckon he'd be available for around 35 to 40 million pounds. But if he did have a longer contract, I think he'd be worth upwards of 60 million. And I wouldn't say that's too exorbitant a price, as Ruiz is a very good central midfielder. He's got that lanky frame, but when the ball goes into him in the defensive third, he's got the ability to swivel out of pressure and drive forward. He's a very good carrier of the ball, as his FBref report shows, showing that he ranks in the 93rd percentile for progressive carries when compared against every other central midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues over the last 365 days. He's also a very good long passer as well, able to switch possession from one side to the other, and he does like to play these incisive passes between the lines, being Napoli's main creative option in those deeper lying midfield positions. I would class him as a box-to-box central midfielder. He's by no means an out-and-out ball winner, but he certainly isn't a liability like Fred is in central midfield, and if he were in Manchester United's central midfield pairing, he would have to be given the licence to push further forward, as he's excellent in the final third, having a great shot from long range, and being excellent at creating by playing lofted passes over the back line or switching the play out to the flanks to create one-on-one opportunities for the wingers. Now even though I do think Ruiz is a very good player, on the cusp of being a top level central midfielder, I don't think he's as good as the other options on this list, which is why he isn't my main suggestion. Before I go any further, just a reminder that I do have a Patreon where for £5 per month you can get 2 exclusive videos, one of which will be on a Manchester United topic, the other will be on a topic voted for by Patreons, and you'll also get a weekly newsletter as well. I have already got videos out on Dusan Vlahovic and where he should go, how centre backs are changing in the 2020s, whether David Moyes should have been given more time at Manchester United, and a video that is coming soon or may already be out on my Patreon already is my video breaking down the current situation at Manchester United, discussing my opinion on the so-called mutiny at the club and what Manchester United should do going forward. So if you do want some exclusive content and to help support the channel, click the link to my Patreon in the description below, but even just watching my videos all the way through is very much appreciated, as it does help the video in the algorithm. So the next option is probably the player that's most discussed in regards to a creative central midfielder that United should be targeting, and it's Ruben Neves of Wolves. Neves is 24-25 in March and has a contract that runs until 2024, so come the summer he'll have just 2 years left on his contract, so I think a fee of between 40 and 45 million pounds would be enough to bring the Portuguese midfielder into United, and without doubt he would solve a lot of their creative issues from deeper positions. He's a wonderful passer of the ball, able to pick the ball up in deeper positions and switch play almost at will, as his long passing ability is absolutely phenomenal, as well as his ability to play incisive passes into players between the lines, and this is exactly what United need from a central midfielder and would help them open up deep defensive blocks which they have been struggling against. And also, with it looking likely that Ranić and whoever the next manager is when they come in will be moving forward with this quick transition in attack, Ruben Neves is going to provide the ability to play long passes over the back line to free runners like Marcus Rashford, Martial, Ronaldo, whoever's making those runs from forward positions. Ruben Neves is an absolute phenomenal passer when it comes to playing these deep passes from deep positions, and he showcased this many times playing in Wolves' 5-2-3 system where they do play on the counter-attack, so he's perfectly suited for this kind of system. And at Wolves he has played in a double pivot in a 4-man midfield, and I think his defensive attributes are very much underrated. He's very good at positioning himself to cut off passes in behind him, as well as moving out of the midfield line to apply pressure to an opposition central midfielder. And whilst he hasn't got the athleticism that would be ideal, he's still fairly good in the tackle as well, and would be a defensive improvement on Fred and McTominay. I think he would be a good signing for Manchester United, however the only reason he's not my main target is because I think the two players I'm about to suggest are better than him, and if you look at his FB ref report you can see he ranks fairly good for pretty much every stat that you would want from a central midfielder, but the players I'm going to show you I think excel in a few more areas, and ultimately you'll see why I think they are better fits. So my secondary option to my main option is going to be MAXENCE CAQUERET of Lyon, who's 21-22 in February and has just 1 year left on his contract come the summer, which means I think he'll be available for between 20 and 25 million pounds, maybe 30 million pounds because it is Manchester United. But still, for his ability, he's an absolute bargain. Now, he was a player I said reminds me of Marco Verratti, and if you do watch him play, you'll see what I mean. He has that diminutive stature, and on the ball, he's one of the most aesthetically pleasing players currently in Europe right now. When he receives the ball under pressure in the defensive third, he's almost silky in the way he's able to manoeuvre his body, swivel and then drive past the opposition player, breaking the pressing lines, which is an absolute vital skill for any side really nowadays, as most sides do look to press you aggressively. So if you can have a player like CAQUERET in your side, dropping deep to the edge of the box, you can play the pass into him, allow them to swivel past their player, and immediately you've broken through the whole opposition's pressing line, and this allows you to drive forward into the middle third. And right now this is something that United desperately lack, as both Fred and McTominay, when they receive the ball, they don't really have this ability to swivel past the player. So CAQUERET would instantly bring this ability to the Manchester United midfield. But also like Marco Verratti, he's excellent at these short pass interplays when under pressure in congested areas in the centre of midfield, which is another thing that Fred and McTominay lack, and this is going to mean that United can play around a press in the middle third, and CAQUERET also has the ability to play incisive passes and long passes, which, as I said for Neves, is going to enable his side to progress the ball into the final third a lot more often. But the reason I like CAQUERET so much is that he's not just a deep lying creator, he's also excellent defensively. So he doesn't look like a physical presence, only being 5'7", but he's a fantastic reader of the game. He's able to see when a pass is about to be played and adjust his body to make the interception, knowing exactly how to position himself in the midfield line to cut off a pass in behind him. And in the press he's fantastic at moving out of the midfield line to apply pressure to a deeper opposition player, and this sort of reading of the game and pressing ability is absolutely vital for a counter-pressing side, and this will immediately make Manchester United's pressing from central midfield better, allowing United to win the ball higher up the pitch, which obviously can then be used as an offensive weapon. And you can see just how good he is defensively by looking at his FB ref report. He ranks in the 97th percentile for pressures, the 94th for tackles, and the 78th for interceptions, which are absolutely phenomenal numbers, particularly for a player who isn't a sole ball winner. We can also see that he ranks in the 88th percentile for dribbles, the 89th for progressive passes, and the 80th for shot creating actions, showcasing the creativity that CAQUERET would bring to the Manchester United midfield. But my main creative central midfielder target for Manchester United would be CAQUERET's Lyon teammate, Bruno Guimaraes. I spoke about Guimaraes as a potential Paul Pogba replacement a couple of months ago, and I actually think right now he's one of the best central midfielders in Europe. He only turned 24 in November and has a contract at Lyon until 2024, meaning that he'd probably be available this summer for between 30 and 40 million pounds. Guimaraes was a player that I said reminds me of Steven Gerrard, and that's because he's an all-round central midfielder. He's fantastic defensively in central midfield, having the body positioning and technique to put in standing tackles in central midfield to break up the play, whilst also having the aggression to move out of the midfield line to apply pressure to an opposition player. And whilst I don't think his reading of the game and ability to make interceptions is as good as CAQUERET, the reason I prefer the Brazilian to the Frenchman is because I think Guimaraes is the better creative player in the opposition's half. He's able to pick the ball up in central midfield, and he has the vision and passing ability to play through passes in behind the opposition's backline to find attacking runners, and he's great at playing long passes over the top of the backline as well, but also he can make runs forward into the box as well, and he's a very good finisher as well. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Ramsey when he makes these late runs beyond the striker into goal scoring positions. And overall, I do think he has the technical and creative ability of an advanced midfielder who likely would play further up the pitch, but his tackling ability means he's a vital part of the defensive unit in central midfield, which is why he's a perfect all-round central midfielder. And whilst reminding me of Steven Gerrard, he also reminds me of a prime Arturo Vidal, who was excellent at pretty much everything in central midfield, with Vidal and Guimaraes being excellent at getting back to help defensively, being excellent pressurers, having great aggression, whilst also being excellent in terms of their press resistance, forward passing, and their goal scoring ability in the final third. So Guimaraes is pretty much an all-round central midfielder, and I think he'd be perfect in that combative central midfield double pivot of Manchester United, with his defensive ability suiting a counter-pressing style. And in possession, when United win the ball back, he's going to be looking for those quick vertical passes, either to players in between the midfield and defensive lines, or in behind the back line, and this is crucial for transitioning the attack quickly, which is what United are currently lacking. So that was my creative central midfield options. I will be doing a video on a ball-winning central midfielder very soon, as well as a centre-back, a right-back, and an attacking midfielder, and you can also check out the first episode where I explain which players I would keep at Manchester United. That and any other episodes that are out will be linked in the description below. So if you do want to see those videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Sign up to my Patreon if you do want exclusive content, and check the description below as well, as I will leave some other videos I think you may like, linked down there.